You're listening to the Fan Club Podcast, where two polar opposites experience each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fan Club Podcast. My name is Sarah,
This is Matthew.
and this is the first episode of Season 2.
Yes, so we will still be covering the Marvel stuff. I know we've been on a slight hiatus for the last
A lot of things have
month.
been going on, and we're not going to get into it, but
Yeah.
a lot of things have been going on, so it's just we still have plans to do the next releases of the MCU. We have a toddler, so it's hard for us to get to the movie theater.
Yes.
And yeah, it's complicated, and so it's just easier for us to wait for that to be on Disney Plus.
Yes.
Which I know isn't super topical, but
I mean,
whatever.
we will, if we can get to it, we will before, if it's still in theaters.
Yes. But you're gonna have to let us be able to get to it when we get to it. In the meantime, this is season 2. We are
Starting with Mystery March.
So we've planned out our year. If you want to see the full kind of hypothetical year, we have a post up on our Instagram of our calendar for the year, and we've themed out a few months, and this is our first one. This is Mystery March.
Yes.
And we're doing mystery movies. Initially we were going to cover Scream 6 at the end of March, but considering the logistics of the craziness of the last month that we've had, that might be a little difficult. So if you have a recommendation for a mystery movie that you guys would like us to cover, let us know. We plan on covering Knives Out and Glass Onion in the next few weeks, so those are kind of already on the table.
Knives Out.
I've never seen Knives Out, and you've never seen Glass Onion.
I would say Knives Out is like the modern Clue.
I see that. But Knives Out will be next week, and Glass Onion will be after that. And but today we are covering our oldest movie that we've ever covered on this entire podcast.
Yeah.
Clue from 1985, starring Tim Curry and Madeline Kahn and a bunch of other people. But Tim Curry's probably the headliner.
It has the Doc Brown from
from Back to the Future? Who's he?
Plum. While Sarah is fact checking that, I have some news. So my quote unquote side business is sort of taking off. I've been making dry rubs and I've been selling them for a little bit now, but
So basically, Matthew, for the last few months, has been making these dry rubs. He does a lot of barbecue stuff on the side, and he's been selling them to his coworkers, and he kind of wanted to open it up in case any of the podcast listeners
want to
buy any. And he has 3 different flavors.
I have beef, pork, and chicken, and I will be adding a fish.
Right now, we've only been selling them to local people, but we are willing to ship it if that's something you're interested in.
But it will have to be
throw us a message on Instagram if you want to.
I will be making an Instagram for my barbecue stuff, and I will be starting to put up. I've been making jerky lately, how to make my dry rubs, what temp I do my brisket, my whole chickens, things like that. So I will be starting my own Instagram and YouTube page for that.
They wouldn't be more than $10 a jar.
Locally, but shipping.
And then you would pay. You probably would pay for shipping.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm trying to figure out the logistics.
He just wants to gauge interest.
Yeah. So if people are interested in buying them, they come in 8-ounce jars, or I can always do more.
So 1985's Clue.
Yes.
I have seen this movie prior to us watching it for this podcast. I had a childhood friend that was really loved this movie a lot. And I saw it once when we first started dating.
Oh, it is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
I can recite the entire movie from memory.
Yeah. I don't dislike the movie. It's a very specific type of humor. I do, however, love Tim Curry.
Yeah, but I grew up playing the game. So I love playing Clue until a point when it just becomes one Clue game can last hours upon hours.
Apparently they're doing a new generation Clue.
Yes. So Ryan Reynolds is in it.
No, not the new movie. I'm not talking about the new movie. I'm talking about, like, they're revamping all the characters and, like, re-releasing the
Yeah,
board
they
game.
already did.
No, there's a different version. Like, the characters are, like, younger.
Ooh.
I don't know if the game mechanics will be any different,
It'll
but
probably be the same. I mean, there's, like, Wizard of Oz Clue, there's Harry Potter Clue,
the
there's
Harry Potter Clue is not good. I played it once with my brothers,
what
and
would be the weapon? A wand?
it's like the spell.
Uh,
But, like,
that makes
the
sense.
mechanics of the game make sense, but, like, in the context of Harry Potter doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
like,
It's actually very confusing.
growing up, my sister and I, or it was my sister, we had 2 different versions. We had a DVD version of Clue, where it was an interactive DVD that you've played,
Yeah, the DVD version wasn't bad.
and then we
It
had
was
one.
dated for sure, but
Yes, it was made in, like, the mid to late 2000s is when it was made, and then there
don't even
was
get me started on how that feels like an eternity ago.
and then there was another version that we would play at my grandma's house that had, like, it was different houses for Clue. It was, like, 7 different houses, and, like, some of them you had to have, like, the red magnifying glass to read the clue. Some of them you had to go into
We
the bathroom that
recently
was, like, it was upside down and backwards
we play a lot of board games that are specifically like two people because we have no friends. Um,
that are, like, we play a lot of escape room games.
yeah, and so we bought this. It was pretty cheap at our local Walmart,
It was,
and
like, what, 20 bucks?
but the issue with it is it's like a very pared down version of Clue that there's not replayability because there's like one answer.
Yes. Okay.
And
Yes,
it really
yes.
frustrated me, but the actual game mechanics were actually
It
kind of
was
fun.
really cool. The board, so you would go room to room, but the board would expand with it.
It just was frustrating to me that there wasn't.
There isn't more, but it makes sense. I mean, how many of our escape games that we played that we replayed?
This is true.
I think we did one.
Yeah, but it was one of those that had like multiple in a box.
Yeah,
But so
true.
this era of Tim Curry is what I know Tim Curry from. Like it's
Yes.
because I loved the Annie movie that he was in. He was Rooster in Annie, Miss Hannigan's brother.
Okay.
Um, and like I loved that movie as a kid. So, I'm a musical theater nerd. So, I loved like this is the Tim Curry that I remember, this era of Tim
Okay.
Curry. Like I know some people are like they're very much like the Frankenfurters, but like we're on the younger side, so
Yeah.
that doesn't make.
This is, I think, the first introduction to Tim Curry that I got.
And then I watched that two-parter episode of Criminal Minds with Tim Curry in it, and that version of Tim Curry is forever burned into my brain.
But I mean, Tim Curry is also it
Yeah, he's also Pennywise, so I guess for like
in the.
some people that's
Hmm.
that. But this it's which is weird because like I watched it a couple of times as a kid with my childhood friend,
Yeah.
but it was never like, the movie 10-year-old me would ever gravitate towards,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. But I do vividly remember Tim Curry
Yeah.
in this role. Mostly because he has this energy about him in this movie that is only can be described as like that very
Pure
classic.
chaotic.
It's very classic British humor. Okay, we're back. Sorry, there was a tornado warning in our area. Everything's fine, but
Yeah,
we didn't just need to had to we just had to take a little break.
until the winds died down and find our trash cans. Because our trash cans blew away.
All is well though. It did feel like the house was getting blown down for a hot second there for whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah. So the movie begins, and we are in 1954.
Yes.
So it is a period piece.
The beginning of it opens up with the butler, Tim Curry, is driving up to the house. He's walking up, the dogs growl at him. He throws a piece of meat out of a brown paper sack. Is it sad that I could describe this to a T?
This was like your sick day movie when you were a kid. I can do the same thing with Wizard of Oz and the Brandy Cinderella and
So,
Ever After. So
when he throws the meat, you don't hear the squish, but he notices it and he looks down and he glares at the dog, and the dog sort of not cowers. Tim Curry opens the door and then he is trying to scrape the dog poop off him. and he walks into the...
I do like the little exchange he has with Yvette.
I was just about to get to that.
Where she looks down at her own feet.
Yeah, so he walks in, he says something along the lines of, "Is everything ready?" And she says, "Oui, oui," or something. She says yes. Then he walks away. She sniffs the air and checks to see if she stepped in dog poop. Mm-hmm. And the first to arrive is Colonel Mustard.
And they all have pseudonyms. It does make me wonder what their actual names are.
We don't know.
Yeah,
they just go by...
It doesn't necessarily matter, but it does make me wonder.
The only one that has changed the most is Miss White, just because in some of them she's the cook and some of them she's a guest. In the Clue board game. Maid, I'm sorry. Sometimes she's a guest, depending on the Clue game. Yeah. Like in the newer Clue games, like I was just playing a Clue mystery game on my phone, and she was a cook.
Then when they all sit down for dinner, so basically they're all given these letters.
Yeah, it's like, and come to this house at this time on this day.
Scarlett's house breaks down.
Car.
Sorry.
Yes, her house breaks down.
Sorry, Scarlett's car breaks down, and so her and I think Green Plum pull up together, and they both are like basically saying like, "Oh, I received this letter too." So then they all sit down for dinner.
And
you go ahead.
So when they sit down to dinner, Plum and Miss White are slurping their soup, which is the most annoying thing in the world.
See, that doesn't bother me that much.
But right before this, Colonel Mustard, Miss White, and Yvette had a strange conversation, or gave each other strange looks. Green got yelled at, or thought he got yelled at by the butler to sit down, and he sat down, which was funny when the butler was yelling at the dogs. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to avoid doing this Tim Curry style.
So then, Mr. Body arrives.
The seventh guest.
And Wadsworth reveals the real reason they're there, that Mr. Body has been blackmailing them. You're all being blackmailed.
And then Mustard and Body get into a fight, and Mr. Body just pokes him in the eye and just wails on him. Like, I'm sorry, you're a colonel in the war. You should be able to fight a skinny dude, right? Colonel Mustard is what? 250, 5'10", 5'11"?
He's not a small guy, that's for sure.
He's stocky. Maybe 180, 190 dude was wailing on him. Like, I'm not saying skinny people can't fight. I'm skinny. But he's still a colonel, so he knows how to do hand-to-hand, right? Or you would suspect.
So Mr. Body basically reminds them that if he's arrested, their guilty secrets for which he has been blackmailing them for will be exposed. And so in turn...
he'll be behind...
Yeah.
But he'll be behind bars.
And he gives all of them...
So Mr. Body goes out to the hallway and gives them all gifts. Wrong.
I know Peacock has the revolver.
Scarlet gets the candlestick. Green gets the lead pipe. White gets the rope. And Plum gets the knife, I believe.
Where's the wrench?
Colonel. Because Colonel must in his hand.
Yeah. So, and then the lights go down, and there's a gunshot.
And then Peacock's just screaming.
Me.
Yeah. Plum checks to see if he's dead. He's dead. They heard another screaming, and they went to go check on Yvette, and they're all running to Yvette. Plays my favorite music in this entire... The running music is my favorite.
Them running from room to room very much gives Scooby-Doo.
Okay, so...
Do you know what I'm talking about, though?
Yes. There's a lot of, like, board game Easter eggs in this movie. Like, if you've noticed... Two people can't go through the door at the same time. They always have issues.
There's that whole thing with Yvette and
Green,
where they're walking up the stairs at the same time.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like when Scarlet and Mustard try to go through a door, or when multiple people try to go through a door at the same time.
No, but it's the same thing.
It's because in the board game, the doorways are only big enough for one piece. So if a piece is in front of the door, no one can get in.
Are the cars the same color?
That's the thing. We never saw Green's car, Mustard's car, or White's car. No, Scarlet's car is green.
It's the same color as her dress, though.
True. But Mustard or Plum's, I think, was like a beige. I was having that exact thought, but I think her car was more of like a greenish tint. I think their cars matched their outfit, not their name. His body says the police will be here in an hour, or 45 minutes. Which the funny thing is, that's how long the rest of the movie is.
It's definitely giving if you've ever played an escape game or escape room, when most escape rooms give you like they give you like a video at the beginning, and it says like the police will arrive in an hour, or you have 1 hour to that's what it reminds me of.
Yes, but I mean the Clue sort of helped establish.
I'm shocked there hasn't been a Clue themed escape room.
There probably has.
It's probably an intellectual property that they can encroach on, but like I'd play that.
Oh, absolutely. That would be fun. But you would need 6 people, though. That's the thing. I could see that. I don't think that would work as an escape room. I think that would work better as, like, a murder mystery party.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this movie and this game definitely popularized, like, I don't know.
But escape rooms, I don't, because it would need to be a big escape.
They're not that big anymore, but I know they still make them, but my parents had a couple.
Didn't we look at one?
Basically, you buy at the store, you buy like the kit, and then you like host a party.
Clue, I don't think would be. Do you remember a long time ago you and I were talking about, like, hypothetically, if we ever could do an escape, like, make an escape room?
We're big escape room fans.
But like make one, but I would see if I could do one like the size of like Clue, where you would have to go to different rooms and different things like that. Because
I feel like with Clue, you would have to pare it down really far.
But you would have to have like 6 people, but you would do it as the escape room plus like a murder party type thing, where you would be mixing the two, where one of the people there would be the killer,
or you're coming in as the police.
Yeah.
To solve the murder.
But like most escape rooms are 3 rooms. You couldn't. It would feel rushed to do it that way. To just do it in 3 rooms.
Or the design of the room is kind of forced. Like I've been to some escape rooms where it's like it's all one room technically, but there's like a jail cell, or there's
kind of like the first one we did.
A closet, or
kind
there's
of like the bank heist one. That
But like I've been to ones where it's technically all the first room, but there are like rooms in the room. Does that make sense?
I don't think that would work with Clue. That's the issue.
You could like almost like it's almost like a forced perspective kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's not so much. Okay, figure out this jigsaw puzzle.
It's not like reading a love letter and figuring out that there's like numbers involved, or like like colors and a combination lock. It's not. You could probably do there's probably a reason why I haven't heard of one, because I can't figure out how they could conceivably do it.
That's why I'm thinking you would have to be more of like a murder party.
If there is a Clue themed escape room in North Texas and you know about it, let us know, because I'd be interested to play it.
Yeah. I mean, I still want to do the Scooby-Doo one at Escapology.
Then they go to the kitchen with the
they go to Yvette, and then Yvette screams because she heard them say the brandy might be poisoned, and then she's crying, and then they go.
Does anyone actually like willingly drink brandy as like?
Yes, people do.
Because you can like smell it from across the room.
It's a fancy person drink.
I don't know. Maybe that's just because I don't really drink.
So they go to Yvette, or they run to the library. The library. They run to the library, and Yvette is crying, thinking she was poisoned, and she's like, the murderer is in here. And they're like, where? And they're like, in here. It's one of you guys. And then they go back to the lounge, and Mr. Body is gone. And they go check on the cook, and the cook is dead in the meat freezer.
So you want to tell your favorite fun fact of this movie, the TV?
Oh yeah. So people have figured out this movie takes place in June of 1953.
At the beginning, it gives like a 1954 title 1954. Card.
So, but people figured out. So at the beginning of the movie, when Mr. Body or Wadsworth is talking to the cook, there's a presidential speech going on, and that speech took place, I believe, on like June 9th or June 10th. So it sort of places it, but they never said if it was live or not. People assume that it was live, or like it seemed like it was a presidential speech type thing.
Like an address or something.
Yeah, a presidential address. So it takes, I believe it would have been like June 9th through the 12th. I don't fully remember the number, but I know it's June.
Basically, Mr. Body's body disappears, only to be rediscovered dead again, but with new injuries from the candlestick.
And Wadsworth is yelling, I'm not yelling, I'm yelling, okay, I'm yelling, I'm screaming now, blah, 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 or something like that, and the candlestick falls on his head.
So then they decide to lock all the weapons in the cupboard.
Or the last remaining.
Then, there's a stranded motorist.
Knocks on the door.
He gets, basically they lock him in the lounge. So then Colonel Mustard proposes they split into pairs and search the house.
From top to bottom.
And Peacock is like, well, you know, whoever's with the murderer is gonna get murdered, and then we know who it is.
Yeah. This is wartime, Peacock. There's going to be casualties. You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs or something like that. Is it sad that I can say key lines?
Yes. So then, while they are searching, the motorist is killed with the wrench.
Yes.
And Scarlet and Mustard find the corpse.
Like, this is weird, but I recognize my old boss here. And then he got knocked on the back of the head. Which, who had the wrench?
Mustard.
Colonel and Scarlet are teamed up together, searching the first floor, or the main floor. Peacock and Plum are searching the basement. White and Wadsworth are searching the second floor, or if you're British, the first floor.
Don't even get me started on that. Okay? Like, to me, the first floor is the floor that you walk into the house on.
But that's the ground floor. The first floor is after the ground. I mean, think about it in a hotel. Hotels are called the ground floor, and then the first floor is the next one. When you hit one, that's one above.
Okay, but that logic, then, like, technically, when you're born, that's your first birthday.
Or Mustard finds the secret passageway to the lounge.
Well, a police officer then investigating the motorist's abandoned car comes inside the house to use the phone.
Not yet.
Yeah.
No, because they find the dead body first.
Okay.
They find the motorist's body first. Yvette, they're banging, and you see the horrible stunt doubles for Green, Yvette, Wadsworth.
This one
and White is when they collide on the stairs.
Is this when they fall? Yeah.
And if you pause it at the right frame, you can see their stunt doubles, and it looks bad. If you've seen Spaceballs, the movie, if you remember the scene, which I know you've never seen that movie.
I will never see that movie.
I would love to cover that in Men in Tights.
That's just not my vibe.
Both Mel Brooks movies.
The only saving grace for me personally that Men in Tights would have is Cary Elwes is in it, and I love him.
And it is the only Robin Hood that is British.
And Alan Rickman, I think, is in it.
No, he's
in the original.
He's in the real one. He is in the real one.
I don't know
but
why.
But it has Patrick Stewart in it.
The bald guy?
Yeah, he's in it.
Magneto? Is it Magneto? No, Professor X. Sorry. Have we established I know nothing about this?
Magneto is Sir Ian McKellen.
I know for a fact that when Richard Harris died, they were looking at Sir Ian McKellen as Dumbledore, which would have been really weird because Sir Ian McKellen also plays Gandalf. That's a franchise we've never seen.
I don't even want to unpack. But it's a good franchise. I've heard great things about it.
People who love Lord of the Rings love Lord of the Rings. We've both watched the first movie together, and
I remember nothing from it.
I literally couldn't tell you a single thing.
I know that it has a ring in it.
And I know it has Sean Bean in it. One does not simply walk into Mordor. It's only because I know that meme.
I think he lasted longer in Game of Thrones than he did in that movie.
So then the electricity gets turned off.
And this is when the cop gets killed.
So Yvette, the cop, and the singing telegram girl are subsequently murdered with the rope, the lead pipe, and the revolver, respectively.
Yes. So Yvette shoots. So let's keep track of the bullets. One went into Mr. Body.
Oh my god, are we gonna do the whole like the 1 + 1 + 2 + 1?
Yes.
No.
Yes. So one went into Yvette, or one went into Body. Two went into the door, or two went into the door, and one went into the candle or candelabra, chandelier. Right?
So then
two.
The
1 + 2
electricity
+ 1
turns
+
back
1
on,
+ 2.
and Wadsworth reveals he knows who the murderer is. Then this is when we get our Wadsworth explanation. So apparently it took several weeks to shoot because it was so exhausting, and the actress who played Miss Scarlet was wearing an extremely tight corset, and like she had to take frequent breaks because it wore her out so much.
So
basically, the endings start when the electricity gets shut off. Or
not the first one. The second one. The second and third start off when the power gets shut off, but the first one is pretty much the entire movie. So Colonel comes in, then Miss White, then Green, Peacock, Plum, and Scarlet at the same time. They go to dinner. They're all sitting around the table. Lightning crashes. I'm sorry. I love this movie so much. And then Mr. Body comes in, says, "We have a gift for you." Everyone gets the weapon. Body falls on the floor. And Plum is a doctor and failed to realize that he didn't die. Plum was being blackmailed because he had an inappropriate relationship with his female patients. He was a psychiatrist, now works for WHO, the World Health Organization.
See, straight up, in today's day and age, that man would not have a single career.
No.
Me Too moving anyone?
Is selling her husband's government secrets, or Senator Peacock's government secrets, to foreign affair people. I don't remember the exact words. Colonel Mustard was stealing communications from helicopters. Miss Scarlet was running a
adult business,
a brothel.
Fill in those blanks yourself.
Green was just gay.
Which in 1954.
And Miss White killed her husband, who was a nuclear physicist, and that was her second husband that mysteriously died. They believe Yvette murdered a cook, but it would make sense for So everyone who got murdered tonight was an informant for Mr. Body. The cook was Miss White's informant to Mr. Body because she made the mistake of saying, "Monkey brain, this soup is my favorite." And it's monkey brain soup from Cambodia, I believe.
I'm a foodie, but I don't know if I would touch that.
No, I wouldn't either. And then Mr. Green goes and throws up because Mr. Green has a weak stomach. I would do the same thing. So the motorist was the informant of Colonel Mustard. The police officer was the informant for Scarlet. Yvette was the informant for Miss White, Scarlet, and Colonel Mustard. And the singing telegram lady was the informant for Plum. The only one that didn't have an informant was Mr. Green. So Plum killed the singing telegram lady. I'm just doing the final ending because that's the real one. I'm not doing all three.
I do, however, love the way that Tim Curry presents this scene.
Yes. I'm sorry. I just don't have the energy to do it Tim Curry style because it's a lot, and I literally don't want to talk about the movie again, even though we just did.
But the way that Tim Curry
does it is really good.
It truly encompasses that manic energy that Tim Curry.
Scarlet kills the police officer. Mustard kills the motorist. Here's the thing. I believe that Peacock killed the cook. Because Peacock was not in the billiard room. Yeah, the billiard room when everyone went to go to Yvette.
Yeah.
Because they went from Yvette straight to the cook. And then Miss Peacock was mysteriously there but Yvette was not. So Yvette hit Mr. Body in the head while Miss Peacock stabbed the cook in the back. That's why I thought it was interesting that she got stabbed in the back, and that's just because Peacock realized that she betrayed her
Yeah.
because she was her cook.
Uh,
But here's the thing, there's been an argument for that for a long time about who killed. I mean, we know Yvette killed Mr. Body. We know that. Or should we say the real butler? Wow, Wadsworth is Mr. Body. Let's just call him by his real name now. Wadsworth is Mr. Body, and Mr. Body is Wadsworth. The person that came in, gave them the weapons, was his butler. Mr. Body, Wadsworth, said, "We're just going to put everyone down in the basement and we're all going to walk away." But while he was explaining all of this, door to door religion.
A televangelist.
Televangelist?
Not a televangelist. Sorry, just an evangelist. I don't know why my brain always jumps to televangelist, but televangelists are like on TV.
A door to door salesman for religion, pretty much.
It's an evangelist.
And that word. And she's like, "You're going to die," blah blah blah. Or Peacock says, "You're going to die," and it's like, "We're all going to die if we don't repent our sins." And she's like, "We're all going to die here if you stay. Go!" And slams the door in his face. And then they have the gun conversation again. 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1, or whatever it is. Yvette gets strangled by Miss White. And then here comes your favorite line in the entire movie, which was ad-libbed.
Which, okay, first of all, I need to point out, and I say this all the time, Mrs. White reminds me so much of your mother. I don't know why. I think it's the haircut. And obviously, anyone listening apart from her wouldn't, like, nobody knows who Matthew's mom is, but, like, every time I've seen this movie since I've known you, that's
2
like,
times.
yeah, but, like,
3 times.
every time I think of this movie, like, your mom could do a great, like, cosplay.
Flames going up the side of my face, heaving, breathing flames, and then Tim Curry just cuts her off.
I just love her hand motion. The flames. It comes across as like she forgot what she was actually supposed to say.
Oh, absolutely, and that was completely ad-libbed, and that's why I think Tim Curry cut her off. The religious dude comes back in after Mr. Green shoots Mr. Body, and then he says, "The clue line. I killed Mr. Body in the hallway with the revolver." Walks out, and then if you have any other ideas for mystery movies for the last week of March, put it in. We will be taking submissions until Knives Out comes out. When does Knives Out come out?
Next week.
So this comes out.
So overall, obviously you're obsessed with this movie. This is like your favorite movie of all freaking time.
Yeah.
Overall, I definitely think it feels like an 80s movie, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I really, really enjoy the performances in this movie. I think they're really fun and really dynamic, and I really like the chemistry between all the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, but like we missed like probably one of the best parts of this entire movie.
Which part?
Communism. It's just a red herring.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's just a red herring.
Honestly,
how many? Okay, we're going to turn a clue into a drinking game. Every time they say communism is just a red herring, which is probably 6 or 7 times in the entire movie.
Okay, because I watched this a handful of times, as I already said, as a child. But it never really like there are a lot of things that obviously went over my head until watching it as an adult, and like some of the dialogue was just like completely lost on me until I was an adult. And like there is so much information packed into these dialogue scenes, most of which is innocuous.
But I mean, there's really only like 6 or 7 main people in the entire movie.
But you can really like what I really love about movies with small casts is because not only was this cast small, the set is relatively contained, and there's not like, they can't hide behind not only each other, but, like, special effects or editing tricks.
Because that's the thing, back then, there really wasn't special effects in the '80s. There
No, but I'm
were,
saying,
but
like, in today like, even Scream is a good example. I love the Scream franchise, but a lot of the time because that cast is so big, the core
yeah,
cast isn't, but
yeah,
the cast as a whole is so big.
yeah.
And there's a lot of editing and a lot of like misdirection and
But
things like
also,
that.
like, out of horror movies, Scream has to be one of them that has the least amount of special effects.
But it's easy for a lot of those characters to kind of like fade into the background a little bit
Yeah.
until they're needed. Whereas I think this movie, everybody got their shine.
Yes.
Every single character, and it's really a testament to the quality of actors that they got in this movie.
And they got actors. I mean, before this, Tim Curry, yes, Tim Curry was acting, but he wasn't.
He wasn't big.
No.
But, like, what I really appreciate is the way that they bounce off each other. You can tell that everybody was having a lot of fun with this movie. You can tell that everybody I imagine that there was a fair amount of room for improv and
Yes.
a fair amount of, like, "Let's try this," what I refer to as the spaghetti method. Like,
Hmm.
"Let's just try this, let's try this." They probably which is why they had the multiple endings was because
No.
they couldn't decide.
So the director wanted to do multiple endings.
Which because back in the day when it was theatrical, you would
Each
go to the
theater,
movie and you didn't know what you were getting.
yes, each theater had a different ending.
The whole goal of it was to get people to go to the movie multiple times to get all of the endings.
Yeah.
But
It didn't do well.
I imagine from a creative perspective, like, there was just so much material to work with that they were kind of like, you know, they they had so much material to work with that it was like the opposite problem, There's just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Usually you don't have enough and they had too much and they didn't want to cut out
Well, and I
everything.
don't think any one actor was the dud of the group. Like, I think everybody I mean, like, I think out of everybody, I think Yvette is the most, like, one note, but, like, even then, she's, like, still, like
She's intricate to the plot.
yeah, exactly. She's integral to the plot, and she
Oh, we
is
missed the
it
other best part.
what?
The when the cop is going door to door or going to room
Mhm.
and Scarlet and Plum like poured so much alcohol on the dead dude
Yeah, and they're, like, trying to make it seem like everything is normal,
and like
and it's, like,
Mustard is
not.
dancing with the cook.
That is so honestly,
Miss White is like
that part is, like, kind of disturbing when you really
Miss
think
White
about it.
is like holding on to Mr. Body and Mr. Green is showing the detective around to everything, and Mr. Green is disgusted because he knows what's really happening, and the cop's like, "It's not normal, it's just adults. It's just a party." Like, "Okay." And then Plum's like, "We'll get him a little black car." The dead dude who was drunk, and they said he's like dead drunk, and just other dead puns like that.
Um, but, like, overall,
Who's your favorite character?
I personally love Yvette, but I think Scarlet is probably the most intriguing character to me.
I like Wadsworth.
I do too, but I think Scarlet's, like, her motivations and her story seems like the most, like, dynamic to me.
Yeah.
Um, I also the dress they put her in is freaking killer.
Yeah.
So, also I failed to mention the costume design in this movie. I think that they did a really good job of having everybody I think everybody's wearing their colors
No,
technically.
Scarlet's not.
Well, but
Neither is Miss White
okay, never mind. Um,
or Peacock.
but I think all of the costume designs are everybody is unique from each other, even the guys who are just wearing suits,
Mhm.
but they're unique enough that it kind of tells you a little bit about them.
The guys are wearing the right suits. Green's wearing a green suit, Mustard's wearing a beige-ish mustard color, and Plum's wearing purple.
But, like, I think all of the costumes really fit them, like, especially this iteration of Peacock. She's, like, a little bit of an older woman. Her costumes kind of reflect that.
Or she's always in the game, she's always been older.
But, like, Scarlet is this, like, voluptuous, like, sexy, and her, her costume reflects that. She comes in so hot with this, like, huge collar coat on,
Yeah.
and, like, it's very clear from the get what kind of woman this woman is.
Yeah, and then Miss White comes in and more of, like, not a
She's
modest, but
almost wearing, like, a funeral veil because she's a
yeah,
Black Widow.
yeah.
So yeah, overall, like, I think it's a decent movie. It's a classic for a reason.
Mhm. It's cult classic. It's
Yeah.
a cult movie at this point.
But I wouldn't necessarily qualify it as, like, one of my favorites. I think, like, probably the first third of the movie drags a slight bit.
But it's also introducing everyone.
Yeah, that's literally if I'm trying to look for things
Yeah.
to critique.
Like, this was the movie that I would watch if I was, like, growing up, like, if I was anxious or upset, I would put on
Or
Clue.
sick.
Or sick, I would put on Clue.
Yeah.
Because I that's like how Harry Potter is for you, or Princess Diaries, or even the Cinderella movie that you like with,
Ever After.
Ever After.
For me, my sick movie was Wizard of Oz, though.
Yeah. For me, I've seen Wizard of Oz several times, but I can't do it, like, scene by scene from memory like I can with Clue or I can
I
with
actually haven't seen
Matrix.
it in a few years, to be honest with you. I used to watch it all the time
I'm
as a
looking
kid.
forward to September.
So, to go along with Mystery March, we have an exclusive merch design that will only be available until the end of March, and then it's going away forever. And so go get that. It's only available in a couple of things. It's not available in
Yeah.
every piece that we have on the merch shop. Please go check out our merch shop. It's also 20% off for the entire month with free shipping. So if you're so inclined, go check out our merch store.
Yes.
And please leave us your recommendations for mystery movies. We might do a Hitchcock preferably one that is available on streaming.
Something like that.
Next week we will be doing Knives Out, and the week after we will be doing Knives Out Glass Onion. Is that
It's just Glass Onion.
Okay, it's just Glass Onion. Anyway, we'll be doing those two in the next 2 weeks, and then we have the last slot in March open.
So that's why I'm saying
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe because we were doing Knives Out and Glass Onion that are pretty recent, maybe something more classic. So yeah, that is the end of the first episode of season 2, baby.
yeah. We will still be doing season 1 stuff when Marvel movies come out. Those will still be a part of season 1. But season 2 going forward will be all of the non-Marvel stuff.
And we will be doing Harry Potter in April and May.
Yeah.
But we'll probably, the structure of those will probably be a little different, only because they're probably going to be more like retrospectives of each film / book.
I mean, we'll figure it out when we do the first 2 episodes.
So,
just because the first 2 are vastly different than the first 2 movies are vastly different than the rest of the franchise.
So yeah, I'm excited for the next little bit of our podcast, and obviously we will still be like going back to our roots a little bit every time there's a Marvel movie to talk about.
We will try to cover them when they first come out.
It's just
but with having a toddler, it is a little difficult to get to the movies.
Yeah. So follow us on all of our socials, and let us know if you're interested in Matthew's dry rub business.
And I will be making an Instagram and YouTube where those might be linked down below on our YouTube page and our Instagram page.
Or in the description box.
Just in the description box, wherever you listen to it.
So yeah, hope y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
If you would like to support this podcast, you can subscribe to our Patreon to gain access to bonus content and listen to each episode ad-free a whole day early. Go to thefanclubpodcast.myspreadshirt.com to get exclusive designs on t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and many other items. We will even have limited edition designs in the very near future. Follow us on all of our social medias for updates and what we are working on in real time. We are part of the Needlessly Nerdy Entertainment Network. They are a conglomerate of podcasts and blogs that provide entertainment, news, and reviews on all things nerdy, including movies, TV, books, video games, tabletop games, cons, pop culture, and more. Go check out all the amazing shows and the network at needlesslynerdy.com.
Needlessly Nerdy, your source for all things nerdy.
www.needlesslynerdy.com.